Hello, this is part 3 of the August Compliance Facilitator meeting. I'm going to talk to you about roles and responsibilities for various positions in the district. And I want to draw your attention to this chart that we have available. It is actually in the Principal Toolkit, which everybody has access to, not only principals. You will see that each of the jobs are listed in the chart and a brief description of what some of the responsibilities are, beginning with administrators, principals, and assistant principals. We next have a case manager, an EC teacher, and service providers. We have the compliance facilitator, and I'm going to go over that in more depth in just a minute. We have itinerant coordinating teachers, the EC department for both instruction at the top here and compliance. Our learning community personnel, they are now called EC community coordinators. We have some additional positions available with the reorganization of the learning communities. And if you look on the next page, we also have responsibilities of department chair, EC facilitator, and EC process coordinating teacher are two new positions, which are, they're actually not EC positions. And what I mean by that is that we are not funding those positions. They were tradable positions. Principals could opt to trade positions for these if they so chose this school year. And I'll talk about those again in a second. Teacher assistants. I'm going to talk more in depth about these new positions just to make sure you're aware of what they are, especially if you are one of these or you have one of these in your building. This is the job description that came out for the EC facilitator. Again, this is an HR job description. This is not the EC department who is funding this position. But basically it says that the position is 50% compliance and 50% exceptional education with emphasis on facilitating, monitoring, and coaching support for exceptional and general education teachers. So it lists the duties, some of which include working with curriculum for the teachers, overseeing the paperwork for compliance, modeling and demonstrating best practices, leading and facilitating professional development, attending district meetings for compliance facilitators, assisting teachers to interpret assessment results, things like that. I won't read it to you word for word, but if you want to find this, this is posted in the CF August meeting topics, but you can also find this online if you just type in EC facilitator in the search. The next one is the EC process coordinating teacher. And this position is responsible for managing and completing the evaluation process to determine if a student meets criteria as a student with a disability, conducts FBAs, writes assessments, manages the manifestation and termination review process, collaborates with other school level EC providers, and works as a member of the interdisciplinary team to provide health assessment services, resources, and referrals. So this is more of the paperwork piece for compliance, headcount, and lots of that kind of responsibilities. And then the compliance facilitator, I'm going to go over in a little more depth since that should be you. Okay. You will see there are bold points, and underneath each of those points, there's a clarification on what does that mean. So I'm going to go over the main points and just talk about a few things in between. One is to oversee the compliance standards at the school. You are the liaison between the teachers and our department, essentially. So you will make sure that headcount is going well. You will determine how meetings are scheduled, how the referral process is handled. You'll manage transfer students, and be aware that you need to mark them as transfer students in the eligibility tab of Easy IEP, requesting records, completing the new EC withdrawal and transfer forms, which I went over in a previous segment, communications with our department and parents, establish an EC team meeting schedule. At that meeting, you'll want to be sharing information that you are hearing about during these meetings. You'll be responsible for assigning case managers in Easy IEP and checking Easy IEP on a regular basis to make sure that everybody has a case manager. Sometimes new students will pop up that you don't realize. You'll communicate with the compliance coordinating teacher who's assigned to your school. You need to be utilizing an evaluation and annual review tracker. We have one that you can use, which is in CF Tools in the CF information folder on the compliance page. You don't have to use this one. If you have a system that works better for you, you can do that. But you are responsible for making sure that we are adhering to these 90-day timelines and that we are not getting any stop signs, so to speak, in Easy IEP, that we are compliant with all of the due dates for annual reviews and eligibility determinations. You'll want to share information on the tracker with your administrators and your EC staff in your building. You need to help case managers with getting their paperwork completed, providing assistance to new teachers if you have any. You are responsible for reviewing case managers' paperwork. The recommendation is that drafts be ready to you at least 2 weeks in advance prior to the meeting. If you prefer something different, you can establish that in your school, but we want to make sure that you have enough time to do this. You also need to make sure your case managers are faxing in signature pages and any reports that need to be faxed into Easy IEP. In the fall, we do the class size audit sheet. More information will be coming about that. You'll be responsible for that. You need to make sure that progress reports go out with every report card and that case managers are keeping up with that. You want to make sure that your staff is keeping IEP team meeting minutes and that you have a notebook in a secure location for them to file these in. You're going to coordinate headcount responsibilities with case managers. When it gets closer to headcount, you'll be communicating on a more regular basis with the compliance coordinating teacher who was assigned to your school. All folders need to be in the building in order to be fundable for headcount, so that is important. At the end of the headcount period, we send the headcount sign-off sheets, and we'll need to get those back from your principal. You are the liaison, as I said before, between the school and our department, and you are obligated to share compliance information provided by us either through the CF meetings or email communication or any announcements that we make with your team. Our compliance facilitator meetings they're not every month, but they are in all months except for the month prior to headcount. I'm going to talk about a new procedure in a little while about how you document that you've shared information with staff. And that's it in a nutshell. Though all of those documents, again, are in the Principal Toolkit, which is one of the related links on the EC webpage. You do have access to this. These are the dates of the compliance facilitator meetings. You'll notice that in the months that we offer them, we are offering them on 2 dates, the Thursday and the Friday of the month that it's offered. We have various ways that you can attend. We have GoToMeeting, which are webinars. The same schedule that we had last year. We have 2 on Thursday. One is from 2:30 to 4. Another is from 4 to 5:30. And then if you can't do those on Thursday, we do have a Friday morning option, which may be beneficial to schools who are late starting, or if this just works better for your schedule, you prefer morning, 7:30 to 9. We also have some face-to-face options on Thursday afternoons from 3:30 to 5. They will be at End Haven Elementary, and all of the meetings except the October 17th meeting in the north side will be in the North Learning Community Office, which is Long Creek. The October 17th meeting will be at North Mech. We will not be having the Moodle as an option for the compliance facilitator meetings this year. Now, I talked about how we are going to ask you to document how you've shared information with staff. We are building this now, and hopefully this will be ready very shortly. This will be a form that you will need to fill out online. We expect you to share information from the CF meetings within 2 weeks with your staff. And if you are meeting regularly, that should be not a problem for you to do. I'm going to show you where you will do this. As I said before, this is not ready right now, but there will be a link, and this will be on the compliance tab. It won't be in the related links because it's only related to your job type. When you link to it, it'll bring you to a form that's going to look something like this. You'll put your name in as the compliance facilitator. There's a drop-down menu for schools. The CF meeting dates would be the month that you attended. Where did you attend? There are several locations here. The date information was shared with staff. How information was shared with staff. We want to know the number of EC teachers in your building, and then of those, how many were actually trained on the information from the current month's CF meeting. We also want to know if there are pre-K teachers in your building who serve EC students, and if so, did you share the compliance information with them? It's really important, especially with the Bright Beginnings teachers case managing their own students. And then if you have any comments regarding the CF meeting, you can also include them here. We welcome your comments. We will send either an email or make an announcement when this form is ready. And when it is, you can go back and enter the information from August. But again, we'll expect that you complete this form within 2 weeks after the current month's CF meeting for every meeting. Okay. Wanted to talk about stipends. Stipends are paid in May. They're based on the length of time you've been serving as a CF and the head count for your students, your school, on the 20th day. These are the amounts. If you have less than 25 students, you are paid a stipend of $250. 26 to 50 students is a $500. 51 to 74 is $750, and everything over 75 is $1,000. If you have more than one CF, you would split the amount of these stipends based on your 20-day head count. To ensure that you will receive the CF stipend, please make sure your principal notifies me, that's Kim Capuano, to let me know that you are the appointed CF for the current school year. This is true even if you were the CF last year. I want to make sure that the right people are getting stipends. They can email me. The email address is below. Another thing they can do is we have a school contacts page, which this is on the curriculum and instruction. They can designate you as the compliance facilitator on the school contacts page. Last year we had the IEP audit as a task for compliance facilitators. We have some different tasks this year. The first, we're going to call it a Deck 6 task, for lack of a better name, and I'll talk about that in a second. The second task we want you to do is we want to ensure that we have valid email addresses from parents in order to do the Indicator 8 survey with parents. So for the Deck 6 task, as you know, the Deck 6 is the consent form to allows us to provide special education services to a student. And this piece of paper is very important. One is that legally we cannot provide services to the student without it. And two, it is very important for our head count. If we do not have this, then that student technically is not fundable. And it needs to be in the paper folder as well as if it's a recent one on Easy IEP. It's very important that all students have this, and unfortunately we've had a couple of audits in which we found that there was no Deck 6 in the paper folder, and that became a funding issue. And it's a really simple issue to avoid, so we want to make sure that schools are accountable. This will also help to ensure that you have folders for every student in your building. What we're going to ask you to do is to manually go through each student's EC folder to locate the Deck 6. We want you to check that the Deck 6 has each of the following. One, that the parent has checked the box that says, I agree for my child to receive special education and related services. Of course, the form needs to be signed by the parent in the appropriate place, and you want to check to make sure that the parent actually dated the signature. If any of these things are missing, we need to correct the issue immediately. The other thing we would like you to do is you have one of two options. Either you can flag the Deck 6 with one of those stiff post-it filing tabs, the ones that are a little bit more sturdy, and just label it Deck 6 so it's very easy to find on any given day for a student. We will not be supplying the tabs for that, so that would be a school expense. The other option would be to remove it from the folder, make a copy, and then move the copy to the front and left side of the EC folder, along with, that's the same location that we're going to keep those EC withdrawal transfer forms. Again, you would need to hole punch on the left-hand side and then provide brads. From this point on, we are going to ask that all new Deck 6 consent forms that are signed for students who are newly eligible be bradded on the front left side of the EC folder, so it's easy to find. The final part to this task is that we want you to complete a spreadsheet which documents that you have a Deck 6 for all the students in your building, and the due date for this task is October 17th. Show you real quick what the spreadsheet looks like. Maybe that won't. Basically, it's an Excel sheet. To do this easily, what you can do is you can pull up your head count on Easy IEP. You could copy the names down the line and paste them in this form. We need the student's last name, first name. We need their ID numbers. We want you to answer whether or not there's a Deck 6 on file, yes or no. We want the date the parent signed the Deck 6. We want to know yes or no whether the parent checked the I agree box. And if any of these things did not happen, then we want you to indicate that a corrective action is needed. We're not going to penalize you for the fact that a corrective action is needed, so to speak. We are going to be watching those, and of course it has to be corrected by December 1st because without that, we would lose funding for the student. But we are curious to see out of all the students in the district how many students don't have a Deck 6. And it could be that either one was never done or that it was lost and can't be located. Either case, a new one needs to be created immediately. Okay. The second task that we have for you is, it's not so much a task for you, but you can oversee that your case managers are doing this. We want valid email addresses from parents of EC students, and we would like to have these by October 17th as well. We need it for the Indicator 8 survey. So just make sure that your case managers are getting this information, especially now in the beginning days of school. And then we don't want you to update the information yourself in Easy IEP, because we believe that soon some of the data that was entered in Easy IEP will be wiped out to get rid of information that is inaccurate. Lots of people put parents or teachers or list other people's names in the parent contact tab, and some of that information is no longer valid. The information that's in PowerSchool should be valid, and Easy IEP and PowerSchool talk to each other, so the parents and necessary information should get pulled over into Easy IEP. Therefore, if the information in PowerSchool is accurate and we wipe out the information in Easy IEP, when it reads from PowerSchool overnight, we will have accurate data. If you have questions about anything you have heard in either of these 3 segments, please email the compliance team or give them a call at 980-343-2724. Thank you, and we look forward to a great year.